The Pan American Health Organization raises concern over the spikes in COVID-19 cases in the Caribbean. 2 CARICOM member states head to the polls early in November, and CHC independent review team to submit reports soon. CARIFESTA is postponed. These and other stories are in this week's edition of CARICOM News Time. I am Michelle Nurse. Thanks for joining us. The Pan American Health Organization is expressing concern over the increases in COVID-19 cases in the Caribbean and the fact that the virus is spreading in new and different ways, particularly among young people. Dr. Carissa Etienne, PAHO's Executive Director, said 11 Caribbean countries and territories have moved from moderate to intense transmission. Updating the media on the 7th of October, Dr. Etienne raised the concern in the face of the reopening of airspaces.
While Brazil and the US remain significant drivers of new cases in our region, we are concerned by spikes in cases, including in places that had effectively managed outbreaks, like Cuba and Jamaica. In fact, over the past 60 days, 11 countries and territories in the Caribbean have moved from moderate to intense transmission, which is a concerning development as countries reopen airspace. Transmission remains very active. Some countries in our region are suffering recurrent spikes in cases. The virus is also spreading in new and different ways.
The PAHO Executive Director said all countries must work together to fight the disease.
Every country in the Americas has been challenged by COVID, and our member states must work together to overcome it. There is no other way.
The 5th of November is Election Day in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. St. Vincent Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves made the announcement on the 8th of October. Parliament was dissolved the following day, and nominations day will be on the 20th of October. The elections are expected to be a straight fight between Dr. Gonsalves' Unity Labour Party, the ULP, which will be seeking its 5th consecutive term in office, and the New Democratic Party, the NDP, which will be led into elections for the first time by lawyer Dr. Goodwin Friday. In the last elections in December 2015, the ULP won the NDP by 8 seats to 7, the same 1-seat margin as the previous election in 2010. And Prime Minister Dean Barrow of Belize says the country will go to the polls on the 11th of November. He announced also that he has advised the Governor General to dissolve the country's National Assembly on the 6th of November, and that nominations day will be on the 21st of October. Belize last held general elections on the 4th of November 2015, when Prime Minister Barrow's United Democratic Party, the UDP, won a 3rd consecutive term in office. The UDP took 19 of the 31 seats at stake, with the remaining 12 going to the opposition People's United Party, led by Francis Fonseca. CARICOM Secretary General Ambassador Erwin LaRocque has congratulated Bermuda's Premier, the Honorable David Burt, and his Progressive Labour Party, the PLP, on their resounding victory in the general elections held on the 1st of October. Premier Burt's PLP won 30 of the 36 seats at stake, up from the 24 it won in the last elections held in July 2017. The Secretary General said the people of Bermuda must be commended for exercising their mandate despite the daunting challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. He said Premier Burt's success signifies that Bermudians are well satisfied with his performance over the past term and have therefore put their trust in him to continue the good work. Wishing Premier Burt success in his new term, Ambassador LaRocque said he looks forward to welcoming him back to the Conference of Heads of Government. Bermuda is an associate member of CARICOM. The independent team that was established to review the approaches to the grading of recent CXC papers is to present its report to the CXC chairman by the 16th of October. Heading the 5-member team is Professor Hazel Simmons MacDonald, who is the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies Open Campus. The team will look at the modified approach that was adopted this year in administering the exams, the moderation process that was applied to the school-based assessment component of this year's exams, and the grading process for this year's exams. In the interim, there are indications that some modifications are already being made. The Ministry of Education of Guyana said some results had been revised, with ungraded results in some instances now being assigned grades. The 15th staging of the region's mega cultural festival, CARIFESTA, has been postponed. The Caribbean Festival of Arts was scheduled to be held in Antigua and Barbuda in August next year. It will now be held in August 2022 under the theme One People, One Environment, Diverse Cultures. On the 8th of October, Antigua and Barbuda's Culture Minister Daryl Matthew relayed his government's decision to the Regional Cultural Committee. He said there were discussions with key stakeholders on the challenges of hosting such an event, and the decision to postpone was heartbreaking as it was unanimous. The country has formally written to CARICOM Secretary General, Ambassador Erwin LaRocque, on its decision. This is but one of the challenges being encountered by the region's cultural and creative sector due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We told you last time that Trinidad and Tobago, which hosted the last edition of CARIFESTA in 2019, will also not hold Carnival next year because of the coronavirus. For these and other stories, visit the CARICOM website at today.caricom.org or the CARICOM news site at today.caricom.org. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Continue to be safe, and see you next time.